The declaration of the Supreme Court stops state governors from directly or indirectly receiving, tempering, or withholding funds meant for local governments henceforth. In the lead judgment delivered by Justice Emmanuel Aogim, the Federation account was specifically ordered to ensure that henceforth all monies, including shares from taxes and other sources, are channeled directly into the purses of council with democratically elected officials in place. The governors were stopped from henceforth dissolving democratically elected officials for local government, and doing so would amount to a breach of the 1999 Constitution. In the unanimous judgment, the 7-member justices of the Supreme Court agreed with the Attorney General of the Federation, Lateef Fagbemi, that the Constitution recognized local governments as a third tier of government. The justices also agreed with him that some state governors have in the past 2 decades been using Nigeria's constitution to perpetrate unconstitutional acts. The argument of Mr. Fagbemi that the constitution permitted state governors to receive monies on behalf of local governments but did not permit them to spend such monies on their behalf was upheld. Among others, the Apex Court ordered the Federation account to withhold funds from local governments where democratically elected officers are not in place. It also bars the governors, their agents, from embarking on the dissolution of democratically elected officials at the local government levels and replacing them with caretaker committees. It insists caretaker committees over democratically elected council is unconstitutional. The state government deliberately shies away from conducting local government elections so they can control the local government council. The constitution did not make local government an appendage of the states, and their no tier of government should be subordinate to another. States are not subordinate to the federal, just as local governments are not subservient to the states. All the requests of the federal government were granted in line with the provisions of the Constitution as conveyed by the Attorney General of the Federation. With this judgment, local government is now free from the control of state government or state house of assembly and can now generate their own revenue from monies allocated to them and also impose taxation, and most importantly, bring the needed development to the grassroots level. Celestina Area, TVC News, Abuja.
Many thanks there, Celestina Area. Meanwhile, the Attorney General of the Federation, President of the Senate, and some governors have reacted to this development. Take a listen to this.
Local government emancipation judgment, because it has really emancipated the local government from, the shackles of the past.
The federal government, through President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, feels strongly about separation of powers and the need for autonomy of all arms of government. And so, for us in the legislature, the Supreme Court has spoken, and we have no option than to abide by the Supreme Court ruling.
I promised the people of Anambra that we're going to have local government election, and I stated that in my inaugural speech. We've just passed the Independent Electoral Commission law of Anambra State, and we're putting together the institutions to be able to organize that. It's a promise I made to the people, a promise I am serious about keeping.
About the Supreme Court judgment, Nigeria is a democratic country, and we know very well that President Tinubu and the renewed hope agenda is a democratic one. And I believe that the judgment is taken in very good faith.
Join us in the studio for this discussion is social commentator Japheth Odesson. Yeah, many thanks for having you.
Good morning.
On the program this morning. Good morning to you.
Good morning. Thanks for always.
Always indeed. Yeah, local government. They will describe this as local government emancipation. You hear some, given their reactions, they're saying it's a good one. Are they sincere with this? Do you also see this coming?
Very good one. But let me start. Today is a special day.
Okay.
It's a great day. July 13, that icon, that literary giant, globally acclaimed, acknowledged genius. Today is his birthday. So I feel privileged. Let's say happy birthday to Wale Soyinka.
Right.
That said, the development by the Supreme Court is a big one. It's a huge victory for the people and for democracy. And we must commend the president to have initiated that come Attorney General, go to the court, let's get some constitutional interpretation, you know, so that we take power back to the people. He has acted like a statesman. And I don't understand, I still don't know why people still do not, in some quarters, appreciate this emancipation. To me, it's a victory, big victory, because if you go down memory lane, you will understand the vilification, the stagnation, the brutalization, you know, that local government and governance has been subjected to over years. Let me tell you this, that as at 1970, there were 201 local governments. By 1979, it increased to 301. Then came the 1979 Constitution, which emphatically stressed that there must be establishment of a democratically elected local government system, democratically elected. And to that extent, authority was given to the state government. Then came the civilian government in 1979, who felt we must take power closer to the people, and that is the role of governance. And they created local government. From 301, then it rose to 801 by 1981. Jakonde, all of them across Nigeria created more local government. I used to know that there was another local government apart from
but constitutionally now we have 774.
Then that was, Abacha increased it to 774. Okay. Now let me tell you where I'm heading. I've been increased it to 801. Buhari and Idiago came in 1984. And they scrapped it. 801 local government, now reduced to 301 again. That's strangulation. That's a big shock. That is poverty development. You've taken power away from the people, handed poverty to the people. And that's why we are here where we are. So if Mr. President, in his wisdom, felt we must seek interpretation, and he has done that, I want to doff my hat for him again. He has done well. The federal government has done well. The judiciary has expressed separation of power, independence of the judiciary. Kudos to all arms of government. We are making progress.
All right. Yeah. So for persons that you mentioned that are not appreciating this move, I would like to, play the devil's advocate here. Let's not forget that the provision for a democratically elected local government as a third tier of government is recognized in the Constitution. And what the Supreme Court did wasn't just granting autonomy, was validating it, because this has been part of the struggle all this while. But let's talk about, the fact that there has been a plethora of judgment, and so many persons are bothered that without political autonomy, you may not be able to achieve a financial autonomy. We have caretaker committees in some states that have been placed there by some governors. Let's put Rivers State, for instance, that have their local government election coming up soon. How would it play out when the governor says, you will get this money, but you will send it back to me, or I will decide how you will spend it?
Wherever the Supreme Court's verdict is very clear. Wherever you have a caretaker, marching order has been given to the federal government not to release allocation. That must be upheld. Federal government must abide. See, let us begin to preach constitutional democracy. It is wider than democracy itself. Constitutional democracy presupposes that there must be guarantee of the fundamental human rights of the citizens. There must be separation of power. And that ultimately, it's a tripod. Ultimately, authority flows from the people. Sovereignty lies in the people, no government. So if the Constitution does not allow you, in the first instance, to have caretaker in place, and you have it, then don't give them allocation. You must run it. You must finance it. Because it's about our revenue. Taxes from the citizens. And must be appropriately, expended. there must be public accountability. This is big.
We'll get to the point of public accountability in this development because we've seen different reactions coming on this matter concerning the verdict from the Supreme Court. So how do we hold these council chairmen accountable to all this fund? We've seen a lot of people releasing figures that they've been receiving from about 2, 3, 4 years. So how do we hold them accountable? That you said earlier that the power is now with the people.
Yes.
Now, how realistic would this be if those funds given to them from the FAC allocation, they are not being used judiciously?
Fine. That is where democracy begins and ends again. Limited government. That is, there is an extent to which government cannot even exercise power without the consent of the people. Democracy is consensual. And democracy is not about voting and withdrawing. No. So we must begin to orientate, sensitize the people, citizenry, social, civil society must begin to mobilize the citizens to hold public officers accountable. How do I mean? They must constitute vanguard. That this month, Mr. Chairman, how much have you released? This is what we have read in The Nation. We have also seen it in The Punch. How much? What have you done? What are your plans? So before you know it, there will be town hall meetings. For God's sake, if you look at the functions of local government, Emmanuel, it will interest you to know that the first one is that there must be construction and maintenance of roads. Number one. So when you have a local government that does not have tractor, talk less of roller, what do you say? So people themselves must take ownership. That is democracy. There's no democracy without participation, and not just passive participation. You must be active. No government without citizens. No government without people. No people without government. So we must get this narrative and begin to encourage people. When you vote and you go back, even if you are giving the rika of rice or gari or whatever, it doesn't stop there. You monitor. The pride of democracy is vigilance. You must be vigilant. What are we doing this month? Even this week? There must be constant touch, link between the people, the governed, and the government.
And very interesting that some of the local government chairmen don't have immunity. So if they did not spend the money judiciously,
that's the beauty of EFCC, no immunity. Because there is no government without local government. The whole essence of government is at the local level. Politics itself is local. I don't know what the federal government. The federal government is just to represent us, foreign affairs and all that. That's the true nature of the federalism. The core of governance comes from the lowest M, and that is the third tier, the local government. So when you take away that, there is no governor, because the local government is also responsible for education, vocational skills acquisition, health, even agriculture is in the constitution as part of the functions of local government, except that you cannot exploit, no exploitation, no exploration of natural resources, which is not in its purview. Any other thing you can do. So why will there be famine? Why will there be scarcity of food if the local government is functioning? So what Mr. President has done again is great, as far as I am concerned, and we must commend Asiwaju Tinubu. To me, this is great. It's the beginning of the true restructuring. Let me tell you this. There is a Latin axiom. Hali scribendo, alihi pognando.
So you have to.
Magnam laudem consecutive sons.
Okay.
Some by fighting,
all right.
Some by writing. Great and magnanimous success is achieved. We have achieved a lot by writing. The Supreme Court has done well. It could have been done violently in other climes. It's a big deal.
Mr. Adesoya, very quickly. I also want to, because the idea of granting this autonomy is to most likely remove this local government, their chairman, from the hold of governors. I think about last year, we saw some local government chairmen went to even prostrate or apologize to governors for you to know how much of a hold they have on them. And so when I was asking that question then, it wasn't just about the caretaker committees, the caretaker chairman, it also covers some local government chairmen that are, you know, in charge of a particular area. But let's focus on raising revenue within the local government. Some of these, you know, taxes that should have been going to the local government have been going directly to the state. I understand that local government should be the one in charge of market levies and all that. And so I'm asking this question, so we will not have a state government or a local government that will also be running to Abuja to get their allocations like the state government.
Brilliant. It is abhorrent where you have a chairman, you know, because the constitution, the verdict also says the local government is not supposed to be appendage of the state. Just like the state is not meant to be appendage to the federal. Separation of power. Where you have that is an aberration. And to get out of that is why we have gone to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court has spoken. Now, the fact is this. We must realize that, I don't know, whatever any governor or state government intends, the reality is it's about the people. It's not about the chairman. They must just abide. And it has to be process-led. I am not in a hurry. I know a lot has gone wrong. I have been secretary to local government, where for some months there were no allocations, even when there could be emergency. So, you know, let us see that the governors too will have to sit again with Mr. President and begin to design. Because I know it's been a long tradition of stranglehold on the local government. But the Constitution has come, the Supreme Court has spoken.
But that's if these governors have even been willing. Don't forget that they also had their
Even if they are not willing, the people must be willing. Power belongs to the people, ultimately. There's no government without people. If the people rise up to say, we're not talking violence here. It's about articulate demand. Bring this.
So, some of these state governors have welcomed this decision, but quick one. Let's quickly get the reactions of Nigerians on the financial autonomy on the state local government in the country. Take a listen to what Nigerians are saying, that the financial autonomy granted by the Supreme Court is a welcome development.
Actually envisage that the three arms of government should be independent: the federal, the state, and the local. So if the Supreme Court has re-emphasized that now, that local government should be autonomous, I think that's the position of the law, and that is the right thing. That is the true democracy. So the question now is, even if the local government are autonomous, are they going to use that autonomy to do the right thing?
There should be check and balance. They can monitor them. They can be monitoring team to monitor the money given to them. Except they don't want to do it, they can do it. They should stop eating the money.
The option of local government to be collecting their revenue directly, I think it's a very, very good opinion. It's of a good opinion. The grassroots will be moving near them. Then all what's going within the local government area will be so much easier for them.
In as much as they are still under the state, it's the responsibility of the state to also monitor. I think somebody should be held responsible.
I think it's a very good thing that the Court of Appeal brought in. But what is there is that they should just not just, because there is a lot of corruption in those local governments. Things are not really working there. The government should not just give them, they should not just leave them to run things by themselves.
If chairmen are sincere, they will be able to develop the local governments, because maybe before they were not able to get a lot of money, the money required for them to do the construction. But now they don't have any reason at all not to do anything.
Reactions of Nigerians there on the local government autonomy Jaffer Odesanya is still here in the studio. So what do you make of what you're saying? Someone saying, how do we now check the local government? And also, we have here that the governors are to meet on Wednesday. Or way forward on this matter.
They must continue to meet. I've said it. It has to be process-led. It will take some time because it took a lot of time, the stranglehold on the local government. But that said, for the people, they are happy. You can see it on their faces. But how do we ensure compliance? Just like I have said earlier, people must begin to vanguard democracy. Take interest in the local government. I have witnessed, as a reporter, local government election where there was nobody for several hours, even agents. So it was a charade. Apathy at the local government level when it comes to election is not palatable.
Because there's a trend. The ruling party will always have their way.
In most cases.
In most cases.
They must just win. What I want next is INEC to come in. And I will also think that at this point, we are getting very close to constitutional democracy. The state governors themselves should also go to the court of law to seek interpretation as to the question of security and ask the federal government also to devolve some power. I think that is the beauty of democracy. That, Mr. President, let us have our police in charge at our state level. We can continue with this banditry, kidnapping, terrorism. Let us be able to have food security and security of lives and property. Then judiciary will come again to say, okay, in the public interest or whatever. I think we can give you state police as well. We will have restructured Nigeria. Because the whole thing is, if we fail to restructure Nigeria, there can never be progress.
But you have mentioned that you are very patient about this move and you are not rushing anyways.
Yeah.
So let's talk about those who have raised concerns about the legitimacy of the state electoral commissions. Because INEC, the local government is a third tier of the government, it's expected that INEC should be in charge of their election. Is this the time we have to do away with the state electoral commission who are under the state government?
Naturally, we have to. We have to. Even INEC should not be under the control of the federal government. So we have a whole lot to do. Okay, if we scrap the SIEC, state electoral, whatever, then INEC, Mr. President should not be the one to appoint Jega or Yakubu. No. There must be a process.
So
where a reputable Nigerian can be the chairman of INEC.
So who are you suggesting should make the appointments?
The people. There must be a commission. Just like you have the Judicial Service Commission.
How transparent will these people be?
Let us start. Let us start, and there will be public notice. If you know you can handle INEC, come forward. Governor can come forward.
Will that not be a Jankara market?
Anybody can come forward. Then we begin to scrutinize. You want to take public office. Open, transparent. You see, the beauty of democracy is the transparency. Once you take it away, you lose public confidence. And the sustainability of democracy is the maintenance of the public confidence. Once you lose it, there can't be democracy. You only have pseudo-democracy. And at the end of the day, it results in anarchy, chaos.
It's a journey. I'm sure we're getting there.
Well, we are getting there.
We will definitely get there. But what is crucial at this time is that when this money are sent to the local governments, the local government chairman should use the money judiciously. Yes. Let's see more transformation.
Yes. They won't. Naturally, habitually, they won't. The people must vanguard that process. The civil society must come in here. Democracy is not about sit-down rule.
So now power belongs to the people.
Yeah,
so
let
the
people rise up.
Must ask the right questions.
They must take responsibility.
And take responsibility to know their chairman, to know their councillors. Don't be surprised that some people don't even know the chairman of their local government.
That's the abhorrent level of apathy. And I have said that before. Now they are getting more interested. Because if we don't get it right at the local government level, there can be development.
Social commentator Japheth Odesanyame, thanks for joining us on the program. I'm tempted to do a chop knuckle. It's a Saturday.
Oh,
program.
it's quite far.